I do think YouTube pays attention, but I think they are getting more weary of the SEO because people kind of abuse it. Long time ago, I think lots of tags worked pretty well.
Yeah.
Now I've heard that, and I don't know if this is true, but I have heard that they completely ignore tags if you use more than like 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So they're sick of it, is my theory.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I've read the YouTube documentation that says tags serve a very specific purpose, but I hadn't heard that. So that's very interesting.
So context there, YouTube says that if something in your title, like maybe there's another word for it or it could be confusing, then you can use a tag to explain to YouTube, like, this is also called this, but people just go crazy.
Tag away. You know, like on social media, you'll hashtag 20 different things to try and get shown. Like if someone searched that thing on social media, potentially your post could show up. People are doing that on YouTube. And YouTube says that that's not really how it's working. I think their algorithms are a lot more complicated than that.
Welcome back to the Creator Files podcast. We're talking about YouTube and SEO because this is something that I feel like is being talked about more lately than usual.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why the sudden uptick, but it's interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely a buzz about it right now. Again, I also don't know why. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, people are always trying to make it on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the whole thing, right?
Sure.
Everyone wants to, but why now and why SEO?
Right.
I don't know. There's a lot going on with Google. Google is obviously very closely affiliated with YouTube. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. So we do YouTube. We do a lot of blogging, a lot of just internet marketing stuff. So in blogging, SEO is huge, right? Yeah. Search engine optimization. You want to win. You want to be at the top of the search engine. And I wonder if there's a bunch of terrible things going on with Google right now as far as for bloggers. Maybe like there's a lot of new people coming over to the platform from the blogging world. They're like, we need to learn the SEO, even though I think we're going to discuss today, SEO is probably a little less important than you think it is on YouTube. So
So what are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, overall, I was just looking up, like, what do people actually consider SEO? Because obviously SEO stands for search engine optimization. And YouTube is a huge search engine. I believe it's maybe the second largest search engine out there. But there's a lot that goes into search engine optimization. So I wasn't even sure what people are considering search engine optimization. So I pulled up a couple lists of things that different people have said they would consider search engine optimization. I just wanted to talk through some of them because I would disagree with some of them. Some of them I would just consider best practices. Some of them I would consider outright stupid. I don't think they are worth like doing at all.
So what do you see as the difference between a best practice and SEO?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm not really sure if there is. Maybe not every best practice is an optimization for the search engine. That's the other weird thing is like YouTube is a search engine, but a lot of what we are wanting to accomplish on YouTube doesn't have to do with search on YouTube.
Right.
So yes, technically it's search engine optimization because YouTube is a search engine, but a lot of the biggest views on YouTube are coming from browse and suggest, which has nothing to do with search at all.
It's a little misleading.
So it's just a little misleading. I think that it's not a perfect term.
I feel like people use it in the way of meaning, so the algorithm can crawl your content.
I think that makes sense.
Which, but that's not the right word for it, probably.
Right.
Maybe it's the best we have.
Yeah.
Words always change and adapt and change meanings, especially in text. So,
yeah.
Okay, well, let me hear this list.
Okay. Item number 1. Rename your video file using a target keyword.
Oh.
Search engine optimization. Okay. Maybe this is search engine optimization, but why? Like, I don't know. This one feels pretty ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that the file that I upload to YouTube needs to be titled a keyword. Okay, maybe. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? It just feels like I've never heard anything about that would make me think, yeah, I need to do that.
Yeah, I would think no. Like, it doesn't seem beneficial.
Yeah.
From YouTube's algorithm perspective to do that. I don't understand why, so many of them are just going to be file with numbers after or some numbering system like we use. And so it's not going to mean anything. So what is really the point? Are you really going to give priority to files that have this name.
Right. Well, and it's like, let's say my
unlikely.
YouTube channel is canoeing and my video file name is canoeing down the river. Like, I don't know, like how does, like, that gives YouTube such a vague idea of what your video is about. I just don't really know how that's going to help that much.
And YouTube has so much other information to go off of. You know, understand the words that are being said in the video, the description, so many little things.
Yeah.
I don't see that they're actually going to put weight to a video file name, but it's possible. Yeah. You want to do it.
That's the thing is, like, it's not something that would take that much time, but I just don't know if someone came up to me and said, hey, I heard that this works. I would have to say, I really don't think that's going to make any difference for you at all. I think there's a lot bigger things that you can do, or even small things that you can do that would make way more of a difference. Okay, let's move on to this next one.
Okay.
Putting the keywords, again, a lot of this search engine optimization stuff is based on keywords, which again is a little bit antiquated, but inserting your keywords naturally into your video titles. I think there's some merit to this. Again, especially in search, that sort of thing. If you know, again, back to the canoeing example, maybe it's how to repair, you know, this model of canoe.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, maybe that model of canoe could be considered the keyword. And if people are looking up that keyword, it would help them find the video. Okay, I could see that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
From the search perspective.
It is not foolproof.
No.
I wonder if you've ever come across this. I have multiple times, where you can search the exact title of a video, one that you know is not unlisted, one that you know is public, the exact title, and it won't come up.
Yeah.
You can scroll until you're getting all this spam and the weird parts of YouTube, and you don't find it.
Right. Well, and it's funny because a lot of times when I do a search, YouTube will show like maybe 10 or 20 results, and then it's like other videos you might like to watch, like totally unrelated. And so, that happens to me all the time where I'll like look up a video that I made and I'm like, where is this video? I can't find it. YouTube's not showing it to me. And I'm typing the title word for word.
And then it gives up before it shows it to you.
Right.
It'll show, you can scroll maybe one page before it's like, maybe you want something else.
Yeah.
No, I want the thing.
Stop distracting me. Stop distracting me, YouTube. They know.
Why? Why would they not show videos that if you have the exact title?
Right.
I don't know.
Well, and from a search standpoint, it feels like if I put something into the search bar, to me it's weird when I put something into the search bar pretty specific and then YouTube shows me 20 results and then they go on to show me another 50 results that are totally unrelated. I don't really get that from a search standpoint, other than I think YouTube is pretty masterful at getting people just hooked in.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I searched for this thing. Oh, but I know that you can get distracted if you see something else related to other things you've searched. Maybe you are interested in those things. I think that it's just a tactic to keep people engaged. I do that all the time where I'll search for something or I go to search for something, I get distracted, I end up watching a video or two or three and I'm like, wait, why? And then I'll like close out. I'm like, wait, I forgot to search the thing that I came here for. And then I have to go back and search again. I do that embarrassingly often.
I have strong feelings about that. I think that in the short term, it probably keeps people on their platform longer or else they wouldn't be doing it. But long term, those are the kinds of things that people start to get irritated about. Yeah. And when they notice that they're wasting time and not really getting what they want from a platform, they'll stop searching and start searching other places. And I think in the long run, that's a pretty bad strategy for YouTube. But
I think you're right. Okay, before we go on to this next one, I think it's a good point. But before we go on to this next item, I want to talk about algorithm. A lot of search engine optimization is directly to the algorithm, right? We're making an optimization to somehow impact the algorithm. That's really interesting to me because on YouTube, audience is algorithm, right? It's like pretty direct. You put out a video, depending on how the audience interacts with your video will decide what happens with the video. So to me, it's very interesting as we go through some of these things to think, if I am doing this optimization for the algorithm, I'm thinking of doing an optimization toward or at a computer, not a human being. And so anyway, I just wanted to kind of put that out there before we move on. It feels like there needs to be a little bit of a shift in our thought process.
Yeah.
To say, okay, whatever, do the search engine optimization, but focus on the audience or the person who's actually going to be watching your video, because I think that's going to have a larger impact. That's where I think some of these things really fall flat, is if you're pointing it at a computer to make a change, at the end of the day, the computer's only making the change because of how someone interacted with your content.
Exactly. And so something like the video file, sure, change it. It's not going to hurt anything.
Right.
But if you're keyword optimizing your title so much that people don't click it anymore, it's not going to do any good.
Yeah.
You know, maybe YouTube gives it 10 more impressions in the beginning than it would have. But if those impressions don't do anything, it's not going to matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. Okay. Next up, optimizing your video description. What do you think the value at this point in the YouTube game? What's the value of a YouTube description?
You know, you want to have the resources in there for especially products or things that people just naturally go to the description, even if you don't tell them to. I think most things that you tell somebody to go to the description for, they're not going to. They're going to go to the description if they already want something. Exactly. They already want to know what music you used or what product you used. I do think YouTube pays attention, but I think they are getting more weary of the SEO because people kind of abuse it. Mm-hmm. So before, long time ago, I think lots of tags worked pretty well. Yeah. Now I've heard that, and I don't know if this is true, but I have heard that they completely ignore tags if you use more than like 5.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So they're sick of it, is my theory.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I've read the YouTube documentation that says tags serve a very specific purpose, but I hadn't heard that. So that's very interesting.
So context there, YouTube says that if something in your title, like maybe there's another word for it or it could be confusing, then you can use a tag to explain to YouTube, like, this is also called this, but people just go crazy.
Tag away. Yeah. Like, oh, maybe I think a lot of people, they'll, use it, the tag, like they'll hashtag, like on social media, you'll hashtag 20 different things to try and get shown. Like if someone searched that thing on social media, potentially your post could show up. People are doing that on YouTube. And YouTube says that that's not really how it's working, which kind of makes sense. I think their algorithms are a lot more complicated than that, than just a hashtag or whatever,
right?
Or tags or whatever. So anyway, that's kind of another interesting one. Tagging is another big search engine optimization item that people like to talk about. And there's even big tools out there. TubeBuddy, vidIQ, these tools, and probably others who are, I don't know, almost pushing the importance of tagging. I'm not a big fan of that. To me, it feels a little bit misleading. It's like there's a lot of things that creators need to do to have a successful YouTube channel. Tagging is not one of them.
Right.
And I get it. They're just trying to make their tools look feature rich, and a lot of the tools are feature rich.
That's an easy thing to add.
Right. It's an easy thing to add. They know people want it. And I think that's the problem, is since people are pretty uninformed about how tagging works and what it actually does, they think they need it. Yeah. And so it's like, oh, this tool includes that. Just a little bit of icing on the cake, I guess.
Right. And I think we can look at how Google has gone with website searches and see that it's going to go the same direction with YouTube if it hasn't already. And I suspect it already has, where they get tired of people gaming the system. So then suddenly that doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
But at this point, I think the descriptions probably still matter, especially if it's like a well-worded paragraph that makes sense and has your keywords, not just keyword stuffing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think that makes sense. Okay, this next one, this one actually makes sense to me. So categorizing your video. So I would imagine like playlists. To me, that makes a lot of sense.
Totally.
Like if I'm doing, I don't know, canoeing content, it's just like getting started. If I have like some like getting started content, there's like 5 or 8 videos that all kind of go together. Put them in a playlist together. Then if someone finds your one video, it's automatically going to show them some of these other videos that you've done. I think there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
There's nothing sneaky or tricky about that, though. That's the thing, is it's not like, ooh, algorithm stuff. It's just common sense. If you tag the videos together that go together, it's going to be helpful for the audience.
Right.
That's why I think this would make so much sense to me.
Especially if you have kind of a sporadic niche, which we would probably recommend. But if you have some videos about canoeing and then some videos about grilling, and you're going to have very different audiences wanting that information most of the time. And so I think the playlist do help YouTube figure out a little bit better who's wanting what. And, it suggests the right category for them next. So
yeah. Okay, this next one is maybe going to show that I don't know everything, but I'm going to read it anyway. I've never done this. Upload a custom thumbnail image for your video's result link. I have no idea what that means. Is that like if you hover over the video that it will like show? I'm not sure.
I think hover play is automatically decided.
I think hover, yes, I think that is automatically. I'm wondering if there's like a link to your video, like if you send somebody a link to your video.
Oh, yeah.
But typically, doesn't your thumbnail just show up?
Right. But maybe you can
do a custom one somehow.
So if somebody texts it to somebody else.
I mean,
they'll say it differently.
Interesting. Probably
Yeah.
that probably doesn't happen that much for small creators, especially.
We should look into that.
Yeah,
after.
kind of an interesting
Curious.
one. Something that I'm not super familiar with. Okay, this one, and you've talked a lot about this one, cards and end screens.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
I think that's really, really important because the more people stay on your channel, the happier YouTube is with your channel. Because YouTube wants people to stay on the platform. Even if they go to another channel, YouTube will be happy with your channel. If they get offline, maybe you talk about digital minimalism, then YouTube's not going to be happy about that. And they do track that kind of thing. But you really want your average views per viewer. So the average number of your videos that each individual viewer views on your channel, you want that to be high. And for most channels, it's pretty low, like around 1.5 to maybe 3 if you don't have a lot of videos and your videos are really great. Really the best opportunity you have to get somebody to watch a second video on your channel is during the video they're already watching.
Yeah.
So you can put hooks in a video for another video the same way you'll put a hook in the intro to get them to keep watching your current video. You can almost think of your videos like a string. They don't have to be so individual. So just from a YouTube success standpoint, I think that's critical. SEO, I think it matters. I do think it's hard to game it.
Right.
But I think, especially if YouTube starts showing one of your videos at the end of somebody else's video, then that's great. But I think they're doing that because they already suspect it has a similar audience. It's almost reversed, right? They aren't deciding that the audience is interested because you linked the video, but they are showing, because you can put an actual video link for the watch next, or you let YouTube decide.
Yeah.
And so when YouTube decides, it's because they already suspect that correlation. Now, I think you might be able to hint to them. And I have actually tried to do this before, especially if I mention somebody else's video in a video that I'm making. I will link a different channel, maybe one of our own and then one of that other channel. I think you can also try this if you're a really small YouTuber and there are certain channels that you're they want a very similar audience to them. You could play around with linking next to that. And if enough people go over there, I think YouTube might start to show those people your videos. Now, the risk with that is you're probably going to be linking to a way bigger channel. And then when YouTube shows the audience of that way bigger channel your videos, especially if you're new, how likely are they to click?
Right.
But it's worth a shot, especially if you think your quality is very high. Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. Like, your videos need to be on point. It's like, okay, you want to be like this creator, but you're really far off. I don't know. It's a difficult sell to get someone else's viewer who's used to a certain standard. Even if your video is being shown as a watch next or as a recommended, it'd be hard to get them to come to your video and then be engaged if they're used to this other creator. Interesting.
Yeah. It's not a hack that'll work if your content isn't good. But if you have great content, it could.
Yeah. Okay, the next one here is experimenting with video length. It definitely, to me, feels like there's something here. We know that different lengths of videos do and mean different things. I mean, we talk about videos that are less than 60 seconds. Those can be tagged as shorts. Okay, automatically we know there's some algorithmic things going on with shorts that are different than long form content. And then we talk about videos that are like, maybe 5 to 10 minutes long. Those probably appeal to a certain type of person versus, maybe videos that are 20 minutes plus. I think there's definitely a big but there is getting people to actually watch the content. I think you can experiment with length of content all day, but the only way it's going to make a difference is like if you make a longer video and people watch the longer video.
Yeah.
If you make a 20-minute video and people only watch 3 minutes, the same way they watch 3 minutes of your 8-minute video, you might as well make an 8-minute video at that point.
Right.
I don't know.
So I could be wrong, but I think YouTube isn't being completely transparent about this. Or I suspect they aren't, based on what we have seen on our channels. Because YouTube claims that they care about click-through rate and they care about average view percentage. And they're very adamant that they care about the percentage. It's not the time, it's the percentage. But we have uploaded videos, and this has happened many times on different channels of ours, especially on the Income School channel. I feel like this happens a lot. We'll upload a longer video. It gets worse average view percentage, sometimes a lot worse. And maybe YouTube's giving a little leeway for that, right? Because the longer your video, just the more likely you're going to have lower view percentage. But then it gets spread way more. We get way more impressions. So something's suspicious. Yeah. They care so much about watch time. They care so much about people staying on the platform that I think it makes sense that they care about overall watch time. I think they're just afraid to say that because they don't want people making long, bad content just to get the watch time up.
Yeah.
My suspicion.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. Obviously, YouTube wants people on platform. They're probably telling us, they're trying to probably point us in the right direction without giving us everything.
Yeah.
Which doesn't surprise me.
Well, and imagine if they did say that, watch time's a little more important than average view percentage. Then suddenly people are going to be adding fluff to their videos.
Right.
It's going to be annoying.
Right.
Yeah. I understand why they would, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think whether that is true or isn't true, if it is true, they have incentive to hide it.
Mm-hmm.
Could possibly not be true. But.
Yeah. Okay, what about timestamps? From a SEO standpoint, the first thing that comes to my mind for timestamps is from a very search-oriented standpoint. If I Google something or I'm looking something up on YouTube, probably more Google will show me like a clip, a very specific clip. I think timestamps are a really easy way to help YouTube figure out, okay, from this spot in my video to this spot in my video, I'm talking about this.
Exactly.
That shows up pretty well on Google search. I think that can make a difference from a YouTube standpoint, SEO-wise. I think there's definitely some audience engagement factor going on there. I personally really like timestamps, but it does make me jump around sometimes.
It does.
It's a double-edged sword.
Because it does usually hurt watch time.
Yep. Now, I won't say I do this all the time, but sometimes I just like to know like how long each segment is. Especially with longer videos, I'll like look at the timestamps and go, okay, they're talking about this for 5 minutes. I can hang on for 5 minutes. But I know if they're going to go on about this for 20 more minutes, I'm skipping ahead. So I think that timestamps can be good. I do feel like as creators, like if we're watching our video before we upload to YouTube and we're like thinking about timestamps and that sort of thing, it'd probably be good to get a second pair of eyes on our videos to help timestamp, because then that person could also say, yeah, this is boring. Like I timestamped this. This was a 15-minute part of your conversation. It should have been a 4-minute conversation, Right. I feel like, I don't know, that's probably a really hard thing to do, but
I think it would make you more self-aware.
It would make you very self-aware.
How long your intro is.
Yes.
How long your final point is. So I saw this on a recent video and I thought, oh, that's so smart. Why have we not done that yet? They had like 3 main points, pretty typical 3 tips or whatever. I don't even remember what video it was. And the first 2 they had time stamped in like big long portions. Like it had intro and then point 1, point 2. Point 3 was like short at the very end, basically the outro. Because when you tell somebody they're getting 3 tips, like as soon as they get that third one, they're out.
They're gone.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Even before you explain the third one, like if they sort of figure out what you're talking about, they're like, okay, I got it. I'm gone, usually.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was smart. And so I think it does make you more aware of like when people might get bored. And like you said, the Google search is huge. It might play into search, especially I think if YouTube's trying to figure out what other channels you're similar to.
Yeah.
If you have similarly timed timestamps, they might look at that and say, yeah, this audience who liked this video with similar timestamps will probably like this other video, because they do look at your videos frame by frame.
Yeah.
And I think they compare the frames of your videos to other videos. So if you are, trying to mimic another channel to show YouTube that you have a similar audience and you use similar frames that video uses, I think that could work if you still have a good video at the end of the day, right? You can't lean too far into this. And I think timestamps might be the same.
Yeah.
I don't know. Wild speculation here.
I mean, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about calls to action.
Yeah.
In SEO. Search engine optimization calls to action. I don't know, like some of these, it's just like, I think it's a good thing to do, but I don't quite get, like, how does my call to action impact the search engine? Am I getting people to subscribe to my channel? Are they liking the video? Are they clicking? I don't know, maybe I'm calling them to click through to another video, and then YouTube is seeing some of those movements across multiple of my videos. But like, what if I call to action and tell them to leave the platform?
Well, I do think that's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it could be a negative thing.
True. That's true.
And possibly, I think the only time a call to action would actually make any difference to the SEO is maybe if it was to a specific video, and then YouTube seeing, this person also likes this video.
Right.
Or this audience also typically likes this other video.
Yeah.
Kind of like a watch next. I don't see it being any more beneficial than that. like you said, getting them off the platform is dangerous, but I think we should rebel and do it anyways.
Yeah, I think they know that creators want to do that. I do feel like a lot of the features that they're adding is to try and keep people on platform. I've seen that with like YouTube channel memberships, and you can now sell your merch on platform and so many different things.
Yeah.
Which I'll be honest, like I watch lots of channels with channel memberships. I think I've come across one channel with a channel membership where I was like, I'm tempted to buy that.
Yeah.
I don't see that very often. But I think YouTube is trying to make it so that creators want to they're more incentivized to keep their audience on platform rather than getting them off.
And then they get a cut too, which
exactly
is what it is.
Love that. Okay, those are the majority of these things here.
Yeah.
Interesting to talk through them and just see how they relate to SEO. It is interesting to look at them from the standpoint of audience first. I really do feel like as creators, we need to focus on audience first. If we're simply approaching a YouTube channel and our success on YouTube like we're trying to please a computer, I just don't think we're going to have the success that we want. And I think that's a pretty big trap that a lot of people who are analytical and people who are really trying to be successful on YouTube, like that's their goal, is to be successful on YouTube. I feel like a lot of people fall into the trap of, here are the 10 steps, the checklist that I need to do to make a successful video, when in reality, it's just not that black and white.
Yeah. It can kind of accomplish the same purpose, right? Like if you're trying to, let's say the frame example of YouTube knows what frames are in a video, and you're trying to mimic the frames of a creator you really like and you want their audience. If you're doing that anyways, think about the reason. Don't just robotically be like, and then they showed B-roll of this. Like, look at, why are they doing that? You know, do they do this in all of their videos where the intro is 5-10 seconds and then they do B-roll or 15 different angles and B-roll shots and elements in the first 15 seconds? Like, what are they doing and why? And do I want to be like that channel? And then kind of implementing it. Yeah. So at the end of the day, it is really about the viewer. Otherwise, it's not going to be very sustainable.
Yeah. I like the point you brought up that a lot of times it accomplishes very similar things or even the same thing. Yeah. But when you do it viewer first, it feels like you care. And it doesn't feel like you're just trying to check a box. We deal like with this kind of thing in the blogging world all the time. People are always trying to just cheat the system, beat the system, game the system. And when you're just only trying to game the system all the time, first of all, it's exhausting because sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but then you have no connection. But I think YouTube is just a very creative and artistic platform. And to approach it like it's just a series of check boxes, I don't know. Like you said, it doesn't feel sustainable. It doesn't sound fun. It doesn't sound like anything I would really want to do long term. And I think you're just more likely to do more of the right actions by focusing on the people. At the end of the day, you need eyeballs on your videos. Yeah. And those eyeballs are the eyeballs of real people, right? Who care and they want to be part of a community. And like, if you do the right things for them, they will watch. Yeah. And more of them will watch over time.
And there are so many metrics YouTube is looking at, right? Like, they can analyze a thumbnail and tell what expression you're making and what elements are in the thumbnail. And obviously they look at the title and the description and all these things. So as long as you have what the video is about somewhere in there, they're going to figure it out. Yep. They're already looking at so many things. Like, as long as it's not completely confusing. Now, if you have a video about canoeing, but you call it like Wild Day, and then there's nothing in the description and no tags, and you never mention a canoe, you don't have canoe in the thumbnail, like, you would have to try almost to make YouTube not know what your video is about. Yeah. But there's different levels of that. And I think doing the basics, as long as it's not interfering with the viewer experience, is a good idea. Yep. Especially the easy, quick things to do. Definitely. But people go overboard.
They do.
It's not going to make or break your channel.
Yeah. Like we said at the beginning of this podcast, there are so many things to focus on, especially as creators who are just trying their hardest. Like, to get bogged down with all these little things that probably won't make that bit much of a difference, but rather focus on the things that will. I think that that's the key here. Yeah. And some of these things, like renaming your video file with a target keyword, you probably just don't need to do that. Like, if it makes you feel better, maybe do it, but you probably just don't need to do that.
Yeah. And don't waste energy trying to figure out these things. Yeah. Like, don't waste energy researching this or spending a lot of time trying to figure out what keywords you should use for the video you're making. Your energy is so much better spent other places.
Yep. Love it. All right. Good conversation. Yeah. YouTube SEO. if you guys have any thoughts on YouTube SEO that's worked for you,
yeah,
let us know. I'd love to hear it. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Thanks. See you guys.
See you guys.